So this area of the garden is where the history comes alive. Apparently these low cold frames and things that you can see just around here were kind of derelict when they first discovered the garden. What was that, about almost 30 years ago, 1990 I think they discovered the garden and started redeveloping them. And the Victorian times, they knew how to grow things like pineapples and things out in these beds with special heating. But little something here for you, a little quiz for you. Who can tell us what the Thunderbox room might be? Answers later in the video. You'll be surprised. That's unusual. Here we are in the middle of September, not far away from my birthday in case you're interested, and there's a rhododendron coming into flower there. I'm not sure what that's a sign of. Strange climate, maybe a strange variety, I don't know, but wherever you look in this garden there's reminders that you're not just looking at plants, you're looking at history, and there's some ancient beautiful trees in here. That's a glorious magnolia. I don't know which variety, but I've never seen one as old and as gnarled as that. Beautiful. And just across here there's next year's flower buds ready and waiting. And it's just a sense, you can imagine maybe 150 years ago and people might have been sat having their lunch underneath that magnolia, and now we're just kind of walking around in their footsteps, as it were. We have some amazing rhododendrons here. I don't know how old these would be, maybe over 100 years old, and you can see that there's energy in these guys. You know, people ask about pruning back some of these shrubs, and there's an indication just here with these shoots coming up that there's life at the base of the plant, and with the right scale in the right hands you could cut these, or sometimes you can cut them back and encourage new growth from the base. But it's the first time I've walked through a tunnel of rhododendrons quite like this. So another example of how plants have this amazing ability to regenerate. Here's a rhododendron that looks like it's suffered some damage, an ancient rhododendron. There's all that remains of the original kind of branches, and yet from the stump, here we go. Let's start again. Ronnie and Reggie, the rhododendrons, there's life in them yet. Look at that. So there's that kind of tunnel of rhododendrons that we walked through from the other side. Just look at that lovely dome of foliage. Can you imagine how that's going to look in the spring? We're going to have to come back here next March, I guess, and check out these bad boys when they come into flower. Absolutely beautiful. That looks like, correct me if I'm wrong, that looks like a Cryptomeria conifer there, which has kind of died so far back, and yet it's kind of created this lollipop of new growth kind of halfway down. Plants are amazing, aren't they? This is another garden really that you could spend the whole day at, no problem at all. This small tree, large shrub, is looks like a Clerodendron variety to me. Don't often see them in the garden centres and the nurseries, maybe because you have to wait a couple of years to get the flowers, but oh my goodness, you know I love a perfumed flower. Oh, that is delicious. Here's a little autumn beauty for you. This kind of sky blue flowered shrub is Ceratostigma, which is great for giving you some late summer colour and into the autumn. Many of these things are vital and much loved by bees and butterflies. So here's something we don't grow much of in the UK. These are zinnias, and I think they're rather beautiful. They had a vase of those in reception as we came in, and so maybe that's something as our summers improve, he says, hopefully, that we should be growing more of zinnias. And just along here, Got some wonderful brassicas. There's some broccoli there, or calabres, and some really good chunky Brussels sprouts. Don't often see this, a purple Brussels sprout. And if you haven't seen my other videos, this whole idea of eating different coloured vegetables, you know, it's supposed to be very good for us, very healthy to eat different colours. So purple Brussels sprouts and different colours of kale there as well. So looking very healthy here in the veg garden. So this area of the garden is where the history comes alive. Apparently these low cold frames and things that you can see just around here were kind of derelict when they first discovered the garden. What was that, about almost 30 years ago, 1990 I think they discovered the garden and started redeveloping them. In the Victorian times they knew how to grow things like pineapples and things out in these beds with special heating. But little something here for you, a little quiz for you. Who can tell us what the Thunderbox room might be? Answers later in the video. You'll be surprised. Wow, look at those melons there. They've quite wisely put a bit of a door jamb in there to stop people like me going in, because I would be oh my word, you can smell the melons from just the doorway here, and what a smell that is. So, in case you hadn't worked out what the gardener's Thunderbox room might have been, here it is. It's the gardener's loo, the Victorian gardener's loo. We haven't heard any thunder today though. Magic moment for me, just saying to my beloved behind the camera that you can never get a picture of the evergreen magnolia in flower. And there it is. Magnolia Grandiflora. Beautiful, slightly fragrant, waxy white flower. I've seen one in flower. Yeah. Some more lovely examples of late summer colour, these Nyphophia red hot pokers. And I love this combination of white and purple here, these Japanese anemones. Oops, sorry. Whoops. Very easy to grow, do well in the shade, and this Verbena Bonariensis flowers for months and months and generally comes back year after year. This is a lovely kind of old-fashioned English herbaceous cottage garden area. Because there's a lot of shade, although it's a south-facing garden, perfect conditions for lovely glades of these New Zealand or Australian tree ferns, Dicksonia antarctica. And you can grow them in some other UK gardens. We've got one growing in South Wales and it's been there for 10 years, no problem. Beautiful, graceful way the branches arch there. So we just spotted this, or rather my beloved just spotted this. She's got her eye for a cute little thing, and it looks like a it looks like a tiny fuchsia. I managed to get a close-up shot because this is probably out of focus now. Answers on a postcard. Is this a fuchsia? So we're now on our way to the second part of the garden, having done the top gardens there with the vegetable garden and the flower garden and the Italian garden. We wandered down through some woodland, past a lovely little children's play area and some unusual sculptures, and we're now heading down to the jungle garden, and just across there you've got a lovely kind of view down to the sea there, and we're going to head down this path and see if we can find the jungle garden. Come with us.